have eyes kind of people using, basically set up their own community in the middle of the forest somewhere, and they're just wild. They used to steal pigs and wildlife and stuff.
And they steal children?
Yeah, and so that was the other thing too. That's what this new guy was saying, South Force 10 on YouTube. He was saying that, well, his story's pretty, if you listen to him talk, it's like...
No, I love this. I'm not trying to cast out on it. It sounds great.
But what he was saying is his grandfather and uncle, great uncles and stuff like that, they all were sent out into the forest to hunt these people down. But he was told, and this is from, he's like, sitting around a fire in the middle of, Tennessee or wherever they're at.
Yeah.
And he would hear these stories all the time. And his, grandfather would tell him, like, stuff, warnings about going too far into the woods by yourself and all that sort of stuff. But he tells a story that he said, he talked to his sister. His sister's much older than him. I think she was in her 70s or something, he was saying, and she knows a lot about the stories more than he does. But she was saying, look, these aren't actual people. These are hairy, like full-on hairy, like cavemen type species of people.
Like a Bigfoot.
Kind of like a Bigfoot. He specifically says, look, this is not like your traditional looking Bigfoot. It's called, you can look it up online, it's called the Tennessee Wildman.
Ooh, okay.
So, and I think, there's some drawings and stuff of it, and there's like photos that may or may not be real.
Well, the big feet in the South are generally described differently than the ones in the Pacific Northwest as being smaller.
Yeah.
Still hairy as fuck, though.
Yeah. But he says there's groups of them that are more human-like, that are just kind of really ragged, wearing furs, like cavemen type people.
Oh, okay.
They are kind of hairy, and then he said there's more, like much more bigger inbred-looking versions of this that are, very Bigfoot-like creatures,
giant,
much meaner,
hairy dudes.
Yeah, he said there's kind of like this interesting, evolution of this group of wild people.
Whoa.
How do they? The Smoky Mountains. There's rural parts of it, but how do things completely survive without being untouched? We're not like in the dense rainforest.
This was back in the 40s when they sent out hunters to basically kill these things, and they would get money for each body that they would bring back.
Oh, I gotta research that. I gotta see.
Did they ever bring a body back?
Yeah, they said there was a group of them who were just bringing them back, just swaths of these things. And he was saying, he was referring to the Dennis Martin case, saying, look, the reason he believes this FBI agent killed himself was that a group of the Green Berets went out and just slaughtered the whole community of these things.
Oh, that's the connection.
Women, children, or the whole, imagine a sea of,
and this happened in 1969 when they
when the Green Berets went out.
Oh, so they found a hidden pocket of them still around.
Yeah. And he said they knew exactly what happened to Dennis. It was that this thing came out because he said these things are cannibals, basically, as well. They would eat people.
Wow.
Especially some of the more crazy bred versions of them. And
it's a movie, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's literally The Hills Have Eyes.
Basically, yeah. But he said, and he mentioned it. He kind of hinted at some darker stuff. He was like, there's possibility that other things could be going on, and then they would eventually end up being eaten. And he was like,
"Oh Jesus, yeah, okay." My mind,
you know where that's going. But so he was talking about the Green Berets going out and just slaughtering this whole community of them, because what the government wanted to do is, they knew these people were dangerous, and for the most part, they just left them alone. But they knew these people were dangerous, so they would send in hunters to go kill them, just because they knew once this national park opened up, it brings in, billions of dollars every year? Maybe I'm making that up? Someone said that. A lot of money, whole shitloads of money of tourism.
Oh, so they couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah, you can't have that secret out.
So as soon as they start spreading these stories, huge problems. They start losing a bunch of money. People are scared to come out. Mm-hmm. So they knew if they kind of would just go in and secretly wipe out this whole community, everyone would be
But they knew... safe. See, the crazy thing is they knew they existed, but they decided not to wipe them out until a boy went missing.
Well, maybe
they would wipe before that. It was in the 40s, basically, when this guy was saying his family grandfathers and stuff would go out as part of a hunting group and like start wiping them out. But obviously Pockets survived, and when this kid went missing, and by the way, he said the only reason Dennis Martin got so much media attention is because he was from a more affluent area of the country. He said a bunch of other people gone missing, kids and stuff gone missing. You just never hear about them.
Oh, interesting.
Wow. He said, that obviously covering up that whole thing.
Smoky Mountains are kind of freaky.
A little creepy.
Yeah.
Doesn't explain the bad weather, though. So what are these things?
Yeah, is there like a supernatural part to it then? I mean, like, are the beans
like,
supernatural?
This is just...
Or they see it coming. Maybe they know that's coming, and they know that's a good time to do something dark, because all your footprints...
It's a good time to hunt, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they know, I don't know.
It's a very predator thing. If you know it's going to be covered up, that's when you do it, right? Because they must be aware of us,
Yeah,
I mean, they seem very close to people. There's people hiking on this side.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of kids and families playing on this side. It's
yeah.
They're not really alone in the woods, right? Seems to be a lot of people around.
Yeah, and just a little epilogue to this whole thing. One of the things this guy, the YouTube guy, was saying that. So he released this video and obviously went pretty big. All of a sudden, people started taking notice. Like, Dennis Martin solved. Holy shit! All right, the video started getting a whole bunch of hits. And so what he does, if you look at the videos, he goes into a cemetery somewhere near him, and you can see like the Smoky Mountains and stuff in the distance.
Freaky.
And he kind of walks through and just like talks, like tells stories as he's kind of walking through. He walks his dog or whatever through the cemetery. But he said after the initial couple of videos, he was starting to get followed by. He said like SUVs, white and black SUVs would start kind of following.
Oh, it's a little high strangeness there.
Yeah, a little high strangeness kicking in.
They were into. He figured something out.
Men in black and SUVs.
So maybe they were monitoring. He, after the first few I watched, he didn't seem to mention it anymore. He just mentioned it one time, and he kind of freaked him out a little bit. He said, it's not unusual that people would turn up here, but they just kind of sat in the car and just didn't get out and just kind of followed him around. And it was like a really weird situation. So,
whoa.
I don't know, maybe hit a nerve somewhere.
Whoa.
But it speaks to the whole like cover-up of what was happening in the area. So I don't know if there's still these things out there. Maybe that's what's happening in a lot of these areas.
Huh. You'd think it'd be happening less and less if the government was aware of it and sending out people to kill these inbred, not Bigfoot human beings.
Right. So obviously, pockets of these things still survive being wiped out by, 1940s grizzly hunters going off into the forest and just dragging back bodies. But I thought it was like heavy here. He was talking about he believes the FBI agent went into the area after the Green Beret went in and just saw this, killing fields of just families of these things just slaughtered.
Really?
It really kind of weighed heavy. That's what he believes is the reason that he killed himself ultimately. But
or he got
he was
killed.
also, the FBI agent in charge of like missing kids and stuff. That's got a way on it.
Yeah, it's dark. I don't know if we can apply that. The Green Beret connection into the inbred thing is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because why else would they send in special forces? You would send in the army or normal. They sent in people who knew how to hunt at night and really go at people.
And kill everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, specifically
but they knew exactly where they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knew basically where they were. Mm-hmm. These guys just like, it was like came in, cleaned them up, and fucked off. And it was like...
Oh, that's so weird, though. It's like they did the right thing in the sense they gave Dennis justice, but they couldn't say anything either. That's a weird mix of morality there. I don't even know how to feel. I feel confused.
Check out photos of... there was an interesting photo, actually. It looked like a really old kind of one of those... when the English hunters would go in the middle of the South American jungle somewhere and find like a group of natives. It was kind of like one of those old photos of if you look up Tennessee Wildman. And it was kind of really like he was covered in fur. It wasn't like hairy. I mean, he was pretty hairy, but it was like fur. It was so hairy all over his back and his legs and stuff. And he had like a beard and like crazy long hair. And stuff.
Yeah, but that's like a genetic. Like people don't look like that.
So you'd evolve over time in the woods to adapt that way to have more fur to cover up.
Yeah, but like they're really big, right?
Yeah. He was saying like some of them were like big, cannibals, and it makes me think
like
of like
6'7", like what's like.
He didn't really give numbers. He just said they were like bigger than more normal people, and it made me think of like the old stories of like giants being cannibals and stuff, like those old stories of the Native Americans fighting against the big redhead giants with, double rows of teeth, and they were all cannibals as well.
Well, I do want to say this doesn't disprove Bigfoot. It could just be another example of what's happening. Bigfoot's still real in my mind, and I refuse to give up on him. But God, that's interesting and really explains a lot.
Yeah.
And could be like the answer to all this stuff. But first of all, that story was fucking awesome, and it was amazing, and it blew my mind. Anyways, High Strangeness is fucking sick. That story you told was awesome, and it makes me a little bummed that like wild men could be the answer for a lot of this, but because it's not paranormal. Well, I mean, it's fucking dark.
People in the area's explanation for something that they don't really know what it is either. You know,
it's definitely a different genetic group of people, though.
Yeah.
So how do they exist?
Who knows where they came from, or how they came to be there? You know, there's lots of questions about that. So.
My big question is this in the college course in Turkey? That's what I want to know.
God, if this was a course.
We need a High Strangeness course. We're like,
this is it. Yeah. This is it. Yeah. This is a really interesting. I mean, we started off with talking about this new possible university course because people are worried about galactic politics, which is amazing. But we have so much weird stuff here on Earth. So it's a good thing we're around because I don't know what they're going to talk about in their university class.
Right. Yeah. Here's the syllabus.
All right. That's all we have for Cosmic Cantina tonight. Stay safe out there and don't open the door if it's Men in Black.
Ooh. Goodbye.